Hello, everyone. It is now my turn for a solo episode, which feels kind of weird because Katey is usually at least on my screen or sitting next to me. But, you know, like she said, sometimes we both get really busy and felt like it was appropriate to bookend her solo episode with one of my own. So here I am, just me. I promise I'm doing something different than what Katey did because I could never live up to a list of her favorite reads of the year when she's read like 60 books or whatever she said. So, you know, Katey is alive and well, just very busy. So here I am. It's also been a busy week because, you know, I would be remiss not to mention that Taylor Swift got engaged. Really important news in the 50% fan universe, whatever you want to call it. Katey got to be the one to break the news to me. I was making lunch and she FaceTimes me in the middle of the workday and I screamed. So this is like truly what, like, I think I was in middle school during the royal wedding no, sorry. I was in college during Harry and Meghan's wedding. And I remember I was like heading to Michigan to visit my boyfriend at the time. And it was a super early flight and everyone was like standing at the gate, like watching it on their phones. Or maybe this was even a different royal wedding. I don't know. Can you tell I don't care about the royals like at all? The drama around Meghan does interest me just because people are horrible and leave this poor woman alone. But God, anyway. And this is like what the actual royal wedding feels like to me. Like that, like, can you just imagine me just like shrieking in my house and you'll have the reaction that I got. And then Katey and I had the immense joy of calling my sister who lives in Kansas City and is responsible for making some hats for her company, Sandlot Goods, that say, "I'm just here for Taylor," and getting to tell her that Taylor and Travis are engaged. And she just goes, "Fuck," and drops her phone. And she works in a factory. And so she got really frazzled. But later she texted us and she was like, "Everyone ran over because they thought I got hurt." It's like, oops, our bad. So the ring is gorgeous. It's perfect for Taylor. And I would not consider myself, any sort of aficionado of engagement rings, but it is like perfect for her. And obviously it's giant. Like it was going to be a giant ring, but I love that it sits like flush against her finger. Like I think it was like Cardi B's ring I saw recently where it was like a whole finger width above her finger or something. And I was like, how do you do anything? Like I have a fairly normal engagement ring and even that still like gets in the way of stuff. So props to Travis and his jeweler. Again, it's gorgeous. I went on the website and was like, all right, well, I will never have one of these, but I am really happy for them both. And I was also wondering, like, do you think they'll get married in the States? I feel like they'll have a destination wedding, but I also don't know because Taylor is such like she feels like a homebody to me. So I could see them like getting married in Kansas City, honestly. I don't know. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Taylor Swift because honestly, it does kind of feel wrong to only talk about Taylor Swift when it's just me. But so for Katey's solo episode, she walked through some of her favorite books of the year, which is an immense undertaking because Katey reads more than anyone I have ever met in my entire life. Like averages, like whatever she said, 120 books a year or something. I don't know how she does it. I don't know how she has that kind of focus, but she's also more patient than I am. She is less inclined to DNF books than I am. If I don't like it, I'll just forget about it. But my problem is I won't pick up something else. And so I end up in this cycle and I'm trying to get out of it. I'm trying to stop my brain from atrophying, as I've told you all. And this is my year of putting my brain back together. So what I have done instead is I have gone shopping on my bookshelves and looked at books that I bought, was given, was loaned, and I have picked 6 that I have not read for whatever reason, and I'm going to go through them tell you where I got them, why I haven't picked them up probably, and I will read the blurbs. And most of them are romance. Some are not. So this will also kind of give you guys maybe a little bit of a glimpse of like what's on my shelf besides romance. And also, I have a lot of like journalism books too that are left over from school that I can't bear to give away. And I didn't include any of those. Like that would be really boring for you guys. So anyway, the first book that I am kind of mad at myself I have not read, but I do feel like it's one I've been saving, but I don't know for what moment. Possibly because I know it's a little bit sad. But it's How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kwong, who is, if I remember correctly, the script writer for the Beach Read movie. And so Emily Henry obviously endorsed this book because they're friends. And I've seen a lot of like really great things about it. Like I've seen a lot of it on like romance roundups or romance recommendations. And a lot of people I know who've read this book have really enjoyed it. So I'm going to read the blurb. Helen Zong hasn't seen Grant Shepard once in the 13 years since the tragic accident that bound their lives together forever. See, I'm like a little sad. Now a best-selling author, Helen pours everything into her career. She's even scored a coveted spot in the writer's room of the TV adaptation of her young adult novels, and if she can hide her imposter syndrome, surely the rest of her life will fall into place too. LA is the fresh start she needs. After all, no one knows her there. Except Grant has done everything in his power to move on from the past, including building a life across the country. And while the panic attacks have never quite gone away, he's well liked around town as a screenwriter. He knows he shouldn't have taken the job on Helen's show, but it will open doors to developing his own projects that he just can't pass up. Grant's exactly as Helen remembers him. Charming, popular, and lovable in ways that she's never been. And Helen's exactly as Grant remembers too. Brilliant, beautiful, closed off, but working together is messy and electrifying, and Helen's parents, who have never forgiven Grant, have no idea he's in the picture at all. When secrets come to light, they must reckon with the fact that theirs was never meant to be any kind of love story. And yet, the key to making peace with their past and themselves might just lie in holding on to each other in the present. See, okay, so this was a book of the month for last April, and I can't remember if I got it that month or as an add-on after I saw a lot of good things about it. I feel like I may have gotten it that month. I do have this problem with book of the month where I will see the books on there and I'll get excited about them or like, oh yeah, that one sounds good. And then just because I have book of the month, feel like, well, you better order something. Meanwhile, I have like an overflowing shelf over here. But this one is one that I genuinely did feel excited about. And real 50% heads will know that I love a silly like Hollywood story. Like, what was it? Birds of California. No, that wasn't the one I loved. No, it wasn't Birds of California. Though I did enjoy Birds of California. I just didn't really like the ending. No, I did like the ending of Birds. Don't listen to me. Anyway, people love, I know, like I love a silly Hollywood story. I love, we like to watch a lot of reality TV around here. We love a good silly rom-com. Big Gilmore Girls fan over here. So like anything in like a writer's room of like a YA novel sounds like right up my alley. And so I think the reason I haven't picked this up is because I know I will really like it, and I'm not emotionally ready for something sad sometimes. I also did, and I know this is kind of like controversial, or I don't know, maybe I'm projecting, but like I know it's in third person. So I like read a few pages at one point and I was like, I'm not ready to make my brain work in this way. Like I've seen TikToks where they're like, if you only like books in first person, like you're dumb. And I don't believe that at all. That's clearly not true. But I do feel like I prefer my romances to be in first person because I want to be more in especially my heroine's head of like understanding, or the main character's head, I should say, understanding, motivations and a relationship growth and things like that. But that should not also like prevent me from picking up what everyone has told me is a really good book. So perhaps at the end of this, I will actually like pick one to read. We'll see. Okay. So the next one, this might piss some of you off because I'm going back on my word, and also I don't know. It is a court of mist and fury because I have not gotten past Akatar, despite me and Katey doing a live show about it. Me like enjoying it for sure, enjoying it. I guess I should say that this is not. I started this and I made it to 70 pages in, and I'm looking at it right now, and like the numbers on the page look like the Harry Potter font. That can't be right, right? Like surely like J.K. Rowling has a lock on that font. Anyway, I made it to 70 pages into this, and I know everyone from Katey to friends to an old man in First Light Bookstore in Austin, Texas, told me I have to read this book. And yes, it's a slog for the first parts or whatever, but then you get to this crazy chapter and it changes everything. And I know, I hear you all. There is a reason that people go so feral for these books, and I get it. I don't know. I don't know if I like Feyre very much. I find her, right, at least in the first 70 pages of this, I found her really annoying. And I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's also me like digging in my heels of like, you know, well, everybody else likes it. Like, why do I need to read it? I don't know. I know this has frustrated multiple people I have talked to about this, where they're like, you really just have to keep going. You really just have to keep going. And I do know a couple spoilers, so maybe that's another thing that's preventing me from, like, I don't know, fully buying in. But maybe also, like, I don't know, guys, it's really thick. And, like, I'm an iPad kid right now, and I'm trying to work past this, but I don't know if this is the book that's going to make me work past this. I'm not going to read the blurb because you guys, most of you already know. If you love these books, I'm really happy for you. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Anyway, so there's that. I'm sorry to everybody. Maybe someday I will. I'm trying. No, I'm not. I shouldn't say that. I'm lying. Okay, moving on. The next one that is on my shelf is The Pairing by Casey McQuiston. You guys know that we do really like Casey around here, that we loved One Last Stop, which was like one of the most melancholy romances I feel like I've read, and was one that kind of like took me a long time to get through, but not because I wasn't enjoying it. And so The Pairing came out last summer, and I will read the blurb, even though I know we've read the blurb on this podcast before. Theo and Kit have been a lot of things. Childhood best friends, crushes, lovers, and now estranged exes. After a brutal breakup on a flight to their dream European food and wine tour, they exited each other's lives. Time apart has done them good. Theo is a bartender and an aspiring sommelier with a long roster of lovers. Kit graduated as the reigning sex god of his pastry school and now bakes at one of the finest restaurants in Paris. All that remains is the unused voucher for the European tour that never happened. 4 years later, it seems like a great idea to finally take the trip, solo, separately. It's not until Theo and Kit board the tour bus that they discover they've both accidentally had the exact same idea, and now they're trapped with each other for 3 weeks of the most romantic sights and sensuous flavors of France, Spain, and Italy. But it'll be fine, as long as they agree they're absolutely over each other. So when Theo suggests a friendly wager to see who can sleep with their hot Italian tour guide first, Kit is game. In fact, why stop there? Why not a full-on European hookup competition? But sometimes a taste of everything only makes you crave what you can't have. So I know why I haven't picked this one up, and it's because I just moved too slowly in the summer and didn't get around to it. And this is a book that I feel like has to be read in the summer, and I know that's silly. I know that's like not how books work, but whatever. It feels like one of those that you like have to be in the mood for. I also feel like travel books sometimes are not really my jam. I have been here saying multiple times that I'm a bad traveler. I've gotten better. We successfully did complete our Europe trip with no tears on my end. I only got homesick truly once when we were in a bar in Belgium and they were playing Charlie Crockett, which, ow. Anyway, so this one, it is like, I feel like I do have to be in the right headspace. And actually, this would have been a great one to pick up before we went to Europe, even though we went to London and Belgium, not these romantic places. I do think there is also a little bit of like, since, you know, my husband's a sommelier and works in fine dining, like there's always a little bit of kind of like when we talk about reading journalism books where you have to like suspend some disbelief. Like I find it like slightly hard to believe like an American pastry chef would make it to the finest restaurant in Paris or whatever. But like that doesn't matter, and I'm just annoying. And so it is what it is. This is where I'm at. I would like to pick up this book because I heard it was fun and sexy and also a queer romance, different than like One Last Stop, which is about two women. And I do see that this one is in first person. So also, it is a very beautiful cover. I would also be remiss not to mention the like slight drama that went in the book community when Casey McQuiston apparently sent sex toys with the PR package for this book. Like we don't like love that. I think we discussed it like when we were doing on a different episode of the podcast, but an odd thing to do without somebody's consent, or at least like warning, like people have children. What if you opened it in front of them? I don't know. Like just kind of an odd thing to do. And I understand the thought process, but good idea, bad execution. What's that Reddit? I can't remember, but that like, you know, poor execution, good idea, poor execution. But you know, we're moving on. We're moving on. So anyway, okay. Next on my list, kind of a wild card, because I have never read it, and I do know this is kind of a grave sin for somebody who is a reader, but I've never read 1984 by George Orwell. And I do, so my dad sent this to me, I think maybe like last year or the year before, I don't remember, but he was like, you gotta read this, it's just like what's happening today. And my dad and I have a group chat with my sister where lately we've been raging against like AI. So like yesterday we were talking about Will Smith's AI generated crowd. You guys should go look at it. It's crazy. But like this is where, you know, my dad, who I don't remember the last time my dad read a book. I bought him Blood Meridian, which I swear he would love because he loves some blood and guts. But and I don't remember the last time he read 1984 either. So he sent this to me, and I'll read the blurb for shits and giggles. I know like probably like 99% of you guys read this one in school. We read Brave New World, which does remain one of my all-time favorite books. I love Brave New World. It is a book I reference a lot, and I am due for a reread because it's been years since I've read it. And so it's like, outside of romance, like I do really enjoy like dystopian literature, kind of that more like thriller stuff. There are a lot of like my junior year of high school, or maybe it was my senior year, when we read Brave New World, was actually a good year for my reading list. Also read All the Pretty Horses that year by Cormac McCarthy. I really like Cormac McCarthy. The Road is one of my all-time favorite books. And yeah, you know, I did not read any of the Jane Austen that year. I skipped that one. And I think I refused to read A Heart of Darkness because the main character like said something sexist in the beginning, and I thought this was like revolutionary of me to like refuse to read it. I don't know. You know, I had some good ideas, but it was also annoying as shit. So it is what it is. But I'll read the blurb for 1984 just for shits and giggles. Here's the quote above this paperback on the back, which, oh, it's Penguin. The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. All right, and here's the blurb itself. Winston Smith toes the party line, rewriting history to satisfy the demands of the Ministry of Truth. Which each lie he writes, Winston grows to hate the party that seeks power for its own sake and persecutes those who dare to commit thought crimes. But as he starts to think for himself, Winston can't escape the fact that Big Brother is always watching. A startling and haunting novel, 1984 creates an imaginary world that is completely convincing from start to finish. This is like the review, but I'll keep going. No one can deny the novel's hold on the imaginations of whole generations or the power of its admonitions, a power that seems to grow, not lessen, with the passage of time. Okay, so yeah, I know, like, obviously this is like one of the most influential books that has ever existed. there's a reason that books like this like stand the test of time, and you do find truth in them in a lot of ways. You know, I think it's also, as my brain has atrophied into adulthood, perhaps, the idea of picking up sometimes like capital L literature feels a little daunting. And that shouldn't be the case because, you know, the books are books. Books remain books whether you're in class or whether you're just reading by yourself. Like they're books. The ideas remain whether somebody is forcing you to read it or not. And I think one of the things I do really miss, though, about like reading these books is having discussions about them, having to engage with them in a more formal way than, you know, I do now. Like we engage with our romance books here in kind of a more formal way just by nature of this podcast. But like I genuinely do miss writing essays about books like I did when I was in high school. I was an English teacher. I was an English major for one semester in college. And so, you know, I wrote a lot of papers there and then realized, oh shit, I miss writing about real people. So then dumped all of my English classes without telling my advisor and took journalism courses instead and then changed my major. That is very, very within my character, I guess. And but I think like that, those classes teach you to be a critical reader and to look at the ideas that are presented to you with a critical eye, and whether you agree with them or don't or whatever, or can at least like find merit in them. And I miss kind of doing that minute, you know, what did he say there? You know, I know the memes of like, sometimes the curtains are just blue. Okay, but sometimes they're not just blue. And let's talk about why they're not just blue. Why are they blue? What do they represent? I want to know. Like, and you know, the little bit of English major is still within me and will probably never go away. And I think like also sometimes these books look a little bit intimidating. Like I'm looking through this right now and like the text looks really small, which is silly. But you know, like I don't have a good answer, except I can't remember the last time I read something that was like capital L literature. And I would like to be that person who can, but right now I'm not. And that's not to say I can't change that. But it's also, again, guys, sometimes it's really hard to pick up a book when all I do every day is read and write things down. And alas, here I am on a book podcast that we do completely by choice and we love doing too. So I brought this on myself. It's not going to end. Okay, so the next one was loaned to me by my good friend Sydney, who does work in publishing, mostly nonfiction, but you know, she is also a great reader. And actually I met her in that one college English class that I took, and we have remained friends since. So this one is called Honey by Isabel Banta. Apologies. And this was also Book of the Month for June 2024. She does not do Book of the Month. I think she said she picked this one up at half priced. And the cover is really cute. It's really bright pink, and it's got 2 CDs on it that look like boobs. So let me go ahead and read the blurb, because I actually kind of forgot what this one's about. It is 1997, and Amber Young has received a life-changing call. It's a chance thousands of girls would die for. The opportunity to join girl group Cloud9 in Los Angeles and escape her small town. She quickly finds herself in the orbits of fellow rising stars Gwen Morris, a driven singer and dancer, and Wes Kingston, a member of the biggest boy band in the world, ETA. As Amber embarks on a solo career, her rich interior life is frequently reduced, and she finds herself surrounded by people who claim to love her but wish only to exploit her. Driven by a desire for recognition and success, for love and sex, for agency and connection, Amber comes of age at a time when the kaleidoscope of public opinion can distort everything, and one mistake can shatter a career. Oh, and this is her debut novel, and redefines the narratives of some of the most famous pop icons of the 90s and 2000s. So, this is totally my shit. I don't know why I haven't picked this one up yet, except just like being distracted with other things and kind of forgetting probably that it was on my shelf. I remember seeing this when it was a book of the month and seeing it like on shelves at like bookstores that I go to and things like that, and being like, oh, honestly, you know what? I'm probably gonna read this next. I love like a silly pop culture thing, but like, you know, with a nice heavy dash of let's examine why these things are so harmful to women then and now and everything in between, and how we have just made it really horrible to exist at points, whether you're a consumer or a actual pop star. But I don't know, I'm hoping things are get better in general. As I was born in 1997, so my growing up with pop stars, I don't think I was like a big fan of any of them. Like, I was I loved Hilary Duff. The first CD I ever had that I remember was Metamorphosis. And we loved Hilary Duff. That was also my first concert at the Houston Rodeo. And I don't, like, obviously I was not privy to, or, you know, I never thought about like what she was going, like that was not presented to me. I was like 9 years old. Like, no, I was not engaging with the exploits of pop stars in that age. But, you know, looking back, it like, I have very vivid memories of when Jessica Simpson stepped out in that black tank top and those jeans, and everyone called her fat. And I am looking now at like how celebrities are like going back to this kind of wafer thin look that is really not exciting. I guess I should say. I don't know. It's like, but there is more resistance. There is more literacy around the topic, I think now. So, and I guess I hope this is true. You know, I can only speak for myself and people in my you know, generation, age group, you know, people I hang around now. But like, I hope that, you know, teen girls are more wary of the things that are being fed to them, that they can see like when something is just trying to buy them. But you know, we also have 11-year-olds at Sephora. So, and I don't know, it's girls so confusing sometimes to be a girl, truly. But I'm honestly probably going to pick this up next because it's also not that long, so it doesn't feel too intimidating. I don't think it's tied to any certain seasons, which again should not like matter, but here we are. So yeah, sorry, Sydney. She gave this to me like months ago, and I do need to just like read it. So skipping ahead to the holidays, one I did not get to last year, but I know friend of the pod, friend in real life, Tess, really liked this one. And I love the cover of it. This is Most Wonderful by Georgia Clark. And I know this book is like completely my shit, where it's like, hold on, I have a paperback, so I'm trying to find the like actual summary, because the back is mostly, did they not give me one? The back is mostly like reviews. But I know it's about siblings. I know it's about silly rich people. Hold on. I'm just going to like look up the summary because this is not helping me whatsoever. Okay. Also, for interested parties, it has a 3.74 on Goodreads. Oh, yeah. Tess gave me this copy because she ended up with 2 somehow. Okay, here we go. Again, get yourselves in the Christmas spirit for right now. We're skipping ahead. It's the most romantic time of the year. The holidays are fast approaching, and the Belvedere siblings are a mess. Liz, a Hollywood showrunner and responsible eldest. Ooh, I am not a Hollywood showrunner, but I am a responsible eldest. Has no idea how to follow up on her hit show's first season or how to deal with her giant crush on its star, Violet Grace. Birdie turned her chronic middle child syndrome into a career as a stand-up comic, but since she spends more time wooing women than working on new material, she's facing one-hit wonder status, especially once she gets axed by her manager. And Rafi, sensitive romantic and the baby golden boy, proposes to his coworker girlfriend in front of his entire company, only to be turned down by the woman he thought was the love of his life. Born to 3 different fathers, the 3 adult children share one mother. Famed actress and singer Babs, I love the name Babs, I think it's so funny. Babs Belvedere. Seeking direction and holiday cheer, all three siblings head up to their mother's house in the Catskills, determined to swear off love and focus on themselves and their work. But the spirit of the season seems to have different plans for them, and their best intentions are quickly derailed in the most delightful and festive of ways. Emotional, smart, and sexy, this queer holiday rom-com celebrates love, family, and wild creative life, and is perfect for fans of Emily Henry and Casey McQuiston. Wow. Who is that? Anyway, okay, you guys know I love like a silly rich person. Literally, as I was just talking about, I love books that are also about pop culture and romance. I know exactly why I didn't get to this one. I got too tied up in other Christmas romances, and as Katey and I have referenced multiple times, we were going through it. We had come back from our break at this point, because we did a different book for Christmas. But that didn't mean we weren't still going through it. And I did not have it in me to read a lot of books. I think I maybe read it like 2 in that month. So I am putting this one at the like very top of my stack for Christmas because Tess told me she loved this one. It's a queer romance. It's got multiple perspectives. It's got one woman named Babs. Great, I'm in. What took me so long? I don't know. But here we are. Maybe we'll do this one for the podcast this year. Obviously, we owe you guys an episode on upcoming romances for fall and winter and Christmas, but we'll get there when we get there. Okay, I said I was going to give you 6, but now I've got 2 more bonus ones, including one that is set on my nightstand for, I don't know, like 4 months, that I bought at First Light and... I don't have good explanations for lots of these. So this is Big Swiss by Jen Began, which I know is like one of the hot books of the year. Like a lot of people have really loved this one. Blonde Shell, this artist I follow and I love her music. She posted recently asking for book recommendations and, like on her Instagram, and then came back like 30 minutes later and with like, whoa, y'all really love Big Swiss. So take that as like an endorsement. So here is the blurb. Greta lives with her friend Sabine in an ancient Dutch farmhouse in Hudson, New York. The house is unrenovated, uninsulated, and full of bees. Greta spends her days transcribing therapy sessions for a sex coach who calls himself Ohm. She becomes infatuated with his newest client, a repressed married woman she affectionately refers to as Big Swiss. Greta is fascinated by Big Swiss's refreshing attitude toward trauma. They both have dark histories, but Big Swiss chooses to remain unattached to her suffering, while Greta continues to be tortured by her past. One day, Greta recognizes Big Swiss's voice in town, and they quickly become enmeshed. While Big Swiss is unaware Greta has eavesdropped on her most intimate exchanges, Greta has never been more herself with anyone. Her attraction to Big Swiss overrides her guilt, and she'll do anything to sustain the relationship. I heard this book was really funny. And it is maybe a little bit more on the side of like capital L literary, maybe? I can't say that because I haven't read it. It has a reading guide in it. I'm flipping through it right now. And it's also like not that long. It's 323 pages. I heard this is like really funny, and also flipping through it, like it has the transcripts in it. I think that's really funny. Not funny. I think that is also a thing that I like about books when they kind of like mess around with the format. Like a great example of that is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, a book that Katey and I adore. And the way that you can kind of, break up the, not monotony, that's not the right word, because, books exist as they exist. But break up the text in a different way and, play with transcripts or different points of view or things like that. And also just like makes it a little bit more exciting. So I also really want to pick this one up. Maybe I'll do that after Honey. Cause I'm not always like super great at, picking up the hot book of the year. And like I read Yellowface. I feel like I see them and I acknowledge them and I'm glad they exist. And then I move on with my life and maybe read the New York Times review or, whatever. But Big Swiss, very beloved by a lot of people. Oh, one thing I did love was that the little blurbs on the front cover are from reviews in The Cut and Bustle, which I read The Cut like almost every day. The Cut calls it rye, fresh, and absorbing. And I do love that they put those on the front, and then like the New Yorker and the Los Angeles Times are on the back. So this book is for the girls, question mark? So, and then for my final TBR that I have not done, this is a book that my husband really loved, and I have not read it. I know he has a copy somewhere. I think honestly Katey has it. And I am really interested in the presence or the premise because it's a dystopian novel. So, okay, here is Land of Milk and Honey by C. Pam Zhang. So here is the blurb. The award-winning author of How Much of These Hills is Gold returns with a rapturous and revelatory novel about a young chef whose discovery of pleasure alters her life and indirectly the world. As smog has spread, food crops are rapidly disappearing. A chef escapes her dying career in a dreary city to take a job at a decadent mountaintop colony, seemingly free of the world's troubles. There, the sky is clear again, rare ingredients abound. Her enigmatic employer and his visionary daughter have built a lush new life for the global elite, one that reawakens the chef to the pleasures of taste, touch, and her own body. In this atmosphere of hidden wonders and cool, seductive violence, the chef's boundaries undergo a thrilling erosion. Soon she is pushed to the center of a startling attempt to reshape the world far beyond the plate. Sensuous and surprising, joyous and bitingly sharp, told in language as alluring as it is original, Land of Milk and Honey lays provocatively bare the ethics of seeking pleasure in a dying world. Sorry, I'm reading this off of Goodreads. It is a daringly imaginative exploration of desire and deception, privilege and faith, and the roles we play to survive. Most of all, it is a love letter to food, to wild delight, and to the transformative power of a woman embracing her own appetite. Anyway, so my husband read this, and he really, really liked it. And he is not as much of a reader. Like, he enjoys reading, but frankly, he doesn't have a lot of time. So it looks like, just skimming kind of the Goodreads reviews, it looks like this book is kind of polarizing. It has a 3.51 rating, and most of them are 3 stars or 4 stars, it looks like. The first one that I'm seeing on my Goodreads gives it 1 star, but I'm not going to read this review because I don't want to discourage myself or think about it until I've read it. This is maybe shameful, maybe not. I do love going back and reading the bad reviews of books that I also didn't like. I feel like it's really confirming that, yes, I'm not an idiot. I just didn't like this book, and other people are also pointing out why I didn't like this book, and I appreciate them, and I see you, fellow hater. So, but I've never written a book. My caveats of, bad reviews or books I don't like is, I've never done it. Who am I to say anything? But I am a critical reader, I think. I think I'm a pretty good reader. I would hope you guys agree, considering you tune into this podcast all the time. But, so yeah, those are 8 books that I have shopped around my house and taken from recommendations. I do think this is kind of like, and I know this is a universal experience. Everyone's got a big bookshelf of books that they have not picked up. And when you look at them, you're like, it's good. Why do I keep buying books? But alas, this is our lot in life as readers. So anyway, I will give an update that I did finish The Summer Storms, and it took me longer than it took me to read the Jennifer E. Smith book that I loved. But The Summer Storms I did think was really fun in a lot of ways and frustrating in a lot of ways, but it was a really good representation of sibling relationships of the children of a very eccentric man who is never seen on the page because he's dead and still looms kind of over everything. And I found each of the siblings to be pretty well-rounded, and you get to understand who they are. Like the brother character is incredibly annoying at first, and then you kind of start to understand him a little bit more and, understand why he is kind of the worst. And all of the sisters I think are really interesting. And yeah, I think it was a really good character study. The romance aspect of it was like a little bit harder for me to buy, but I think the prose was really good. She uses parentheses a lot to kind of, it's in third person, but she would use parentheses a lot to kind of show her characters' inner thoughts and feelings and things like that. And I at times it felt a little jarring, but I really liked the conversational nature of it. So yeah, I would recommend. I know it's the end of summer, but I would recommend. It does take place around like Labor Day weekend, so you got time to fit it in if you want. So now I am currently reading Sarah Adams' Beg, Borrow, or Steal, which is actually going to be the next book for the podcast. We were trying to find like a back to school sort of thing, and it's harder than we thought because we've already read My Oxford Year. Maybe we should revisit that one. I don't know. Anyway, so I know it's the third one in Sarah Adams' Rome, Kentucky series, which I know a lot of people really enjoy. I am really enjoying it so far. I think she's a really good writer. I think it's really fun. It is about the oldest sister of the family, Emily. And I haven't read the other books, but I'm kind of wondering if she was like a little bit of a villain at one point in the books, because she has kind of a spiky personality. She, as Katey likes to say about me, she doesn't suffer fools. But it's about two teachers who quote unquote hate each other. No, they don't. They love each other. And yeah, about their romance. So pick that up if you want to join us for our next episode. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed going through my shelves with me. Maybe I introduced you to another book that you would like to read, but at the end of the day, you know, TBRs will never go away. And it is our lot in life as readers is that we're not going to stop buying books, even though we have tons on the shelf at home. But I'm glad I did this, and that I'm glad I looked at my shelves and was like, why haven't I read that one? Why? Like, I was really excited to read that. And I know some people have this rule where, like, if they buy a book, they have to start it that day or the next day. And that's a good rule of, like, don't let things, like, languish on your shelves, you know. But I've been trying to become a better reader, which is, I think, always going to be my struggle, is, like, how to get back into that attitude I had when I was, like, 11 or 12, you know, just, like, picking something up in the bookstore, sitting on the floor, immediately starting it, and then like finishing it the next day. But also 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old Abigail had a lot more time than she does now. So I'm not going to be too harsh on myself, but you know, I am always chasing that feeling a little bit of being really excited about a book. There's no better feeling, I feel like, than picking up a book that turns out you really, really love and are surprised by. And yeah, I'd love to hear maybe books on you guys' like TBRs that have maybe taken you a long time to pick up, but would eventually became like some of your favorites or anything like that. But yeah, also thanks for hanging out with me while Katey is gone. But I hope you have enjoyed this little series of solo podcasts. I can't promise we won't ever do it again because we are people with busy lives, but we will be back to normal next time with Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams. So we look forward to discussing that one.